I hear airplanes back there, and pretty soon I'm going to be on one. Let's fly to LaGuardia. That United 737 is flying a similar route, West Palm Beach to Newark, and for the first part of its flight, it will be on a very similar route to the route that I'll be taking, so let's head on over to the gate to make this journey happen. Oh, what a surprise, it's delayed. That's a theme on this channel, and if you haven't seen the last video I put out, check it out. My dad flew the same route with a 3-hour delay due to a hole in the runway. His flight was supposed to be a day flight, but it turned out to be a night flight. My flight is scheduled for the evening. So join me for a night flight to LaGuardia. Well, it's not night yet, so I'm enjoying the action on runway 10 left, like this UPS 767 coming in from Jacksonville. Here we can see 2 planes on approach. The second one is mine. Here it comes inbound from LaGuardia and late because of some equipment issue, the specifics of which I don't know. Now, at the beginning of this video, I showed you that this flight will be coming at the gate Charlie 3, but due to its tardiness, that has been changed to gate Charlie 2, so naturally I placed myself at Charlie 2 for the view. Here it comes. It's just waiting for this A321 to clear the path to the gate. Once it's clear, November 3766 is cleared into the gate. This particular 737-800 entered service in 2001 and has been with Delta since then. But rather than focus on the history of this airplane or its performance, the big thing for me is where to sit. There are a lot of windows on this plane and I need to sit at one of them. It's pretty clear that I should avoid the area where there are missing windows in front of the wing, but what will be the most ideal seat? So I had a ticket for a seat on the right-hand side of the aircraft, and I noticed that the wind is going to be favorable for runway 31 tonight, so I wanted to make a switch to the left-hand side of the aircraft. Now, the only seats available on the left-hand side of the aircraft were blocked seats, the last 2 rows. The app was not letting me select those seats. However, I went up to the gate agent, said, "Can I sit in a seat on the left-hand side of the back?" They said yes, so now I'm on the left-hand side. I can't wait. I'm so happy the gate agent was able to change my seat to an A seat. It's time to leave PBI. So let's get ready to fly the RNAV-XRAY Approach to runway 31. That's the active approach tonight at LaGuardia. With wind from the north, we'll fly north over Brooklyn and Queens before turning around to land on runway 31. Manhattan will be on the left side of the plane. It's funny how when I changed my seat, the agent told me, "Do you really want to sit in the back of the plane?" Yeah. Okay, here I'm in the back of the plane. And since the last 2 rows were blocked and all standby passengers were cleared, I was the only passenger in the last 2 rows. Yes, I had no one next to me, which is far superior to an extra legroom seat. We're almost ready for pushback. But before we move forward, it's time for a message from the sponsor of today's video, XRAY. XRAY wallets come in a variety of shapes and sizes and colors. This one actually glows in the dark. With durable wallets and card holders, the value derived from XRAY is unmatched. I always carry an XRAY wallet with me, and I know I'll never lose it because I can add an AirTag to it. Check out their site. They have lots of awesome products. And as a viewer of this channel, if you enter code MASELA at checkout, you'll save. Visit the link in the description below. This flight is ready for pushback. I apologize for the reflection, but the view will improve once the flight attendants turn the interior cabin lights off once the safety demo and cabin walkthrough is complete. Sometimes I wish they would complete everything while still at the gates so that the lights would be off for pushback, but doing the safety video during pushback saves time.
And pull the mask down.
Too much reflection. It will get better soon. I just hope that the lights don't stay on for too long while the flight attendants do their final safety checks on approach. After all, I have a lot to see on this flight. This is the first time I have ever sat on the left-hand side of the plane from Palm Beach to LaGuardia. And I'm not only expecting some great left side Manhattan views, but spectacular en route views too, like the city of Philadelphia. Okay, the lights are out. Finally. We're now separated from the tug, the engines are started, and we are ready for our delayed taxi to runway 10 left. Let's call ground control.
Ground, Delta 2460 is ready to taxi.
Delta 2460, Palm runway 10 left, via Charlie, cross 14.
10 left via Charlie, cross runway 14, Delta 460.
Before I comment on our taxi route, see that plane up there? That plane just took off on our runway. We'll be there soon. We're starting our taxi to runway 10 left by following the instructions that the controller told us. He told us to taxi to runway 10 left via Charlie and to cross runway 14. I'm excited about this because taxiway Charlie parallels runway 10 left, and this being my first time on the left side of the plane, I can actually see the runway we'll be using before takeoff. Now, again, my seat selection was dictated by the view on approach to LaGuardia, which calls for a steady wind from the north all night long, but I'm happy that I will not only get to see the runway while taxiing out, but as we climb on the usual slides departure route over the Atlantic Ocean, I'll finally see the coast as we turn to the left to the northeast. Previously, when I sat on the right side, all I would see would be the ocean and part of the Bahamas. Okay, we're cleared across the crosswind runway. We're crossing runway 14 right now, and once we get to the other side, the next runway we'll be on will be our runway. But there are two American Airlines airplanes ahead of us. On final approach to the departure runway, which is also an arrival runway tonight, is options 462. We'll see options 462 pass by us in a moment as it prepares to touch down on runway 10 left. As that plane flies over the runway, American 1844 is told up to line up and wait. The idea is to allow options 462 to land, vacate the runway, and then American 1844 will get issued takeoff clearance. But it doesn't go that smoothly this time around. Here comes American's clearance to enter the runway.
American 1844, runway 10 left. Line up and wait.
We're going to line up and wait for American 1844.
The next transmission will be the controller telling options 462 to clear the runway and contact ground control, but before American 1844 is issued takeoff clearance, Whitecap 321, a slow-moving plane on approach to runway 10 left, checks in. The tower plans on getting several planes out before Whitecap. The tower then issues American 1844 takeoff clearance, but a very attentive captain notices that options 462 is still on the runway. This prompts the controller to cancel American's takeoff clearance and verify options has cleared the runway before reissuing American 1844 takeoff clearance.
Options 462, safe park.
Empire 5 landing.
Okay, options 462 first available then, and contact ground.
Okay, runway below the ground. Palm Beach Tower, Whitecap 321 on the Equalizer 10 left.
Whitecap 320 on Palm Beach Tower, continue runway 10 left, couple departures before.
Continue for the localizer 10 left, Whitecap 3.
Okay, continue. American 1844, runway 10 left, cleared for take.
American 1844 appears to be an aircraft on the other side of the runway at the far end. Is that correct, or with the lighting?
American 1840 position, cancel takeoff clearance.
American 1844 holding in position.
Options 462. Okay, you're off, all right?
Yeah, we're getting off the runway.
All right. American 1844, runway 10 left, you are cleared for takeoff.
All right, American, we're clear for takeoff, thanks.
We'll see American 1844 roll down the runway in a moment. From what it sounds like, the controller issued American 1844 takeoff clearance too soon, and the pilot looked down the runway and saw the options plane still on the runway. Good job for that pilot. As the old saying goes, if you see something, say something. It's now time for the second American Airlines plane, Flight 2965, to line up.
American 2065, runway 10 left, line up and wait, traffic 6 mile final.
Line up, wait. 10 left, American 2965.
The controller let American 2965, the aircraft entering the runway, know that traffic is on a 6-mile final. That's a reference to Whitecap 321, who we heard call the tower earlier. Even though the controller referenced this to the American flight going onto the runway, it is not a factor because the controller is actually going to have our flight take off right after American 2965. So once American starts to take off, we will be told to enter the runway. Of course, Whitecap 321 will be a lot closer to the airport by then. Therefore, I don't think we will be spending much time waiting on the runway. With the first American flight taking off and the second American flight lining up, we can get as close as possible to the beginning of the runway now. In a moment, the controller will issue takeoff clearance to American 2965, and the pilot's response will be interesting. The pilot will acknowledge that he's clear for takeoff, and then he will say that we're good to go, followed by a giggle. Perhaps this is a reference to the controller issuing the previous American flight clearance for takeoff while he saw a plane on the runway. In any case, Whitecap 321 is getting closer and closer, and two airliners need to get out, so it's time for American 2965 to take off.
American 2965, runway 10 left, cleared for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 10 left, and then we're good to go. 10 left, American 2965.
All right, he's good to go, and so are we. The controller better put us on the runway soon because there's an airplane on approach that we need to get out ahead of. Here comes our clearance to line up and wait.
Delta 24C, tower, runway 10 left, line up and wait. Traffic is 4 mile final, slow moving Cherokee.
Line up and wait, 10 left, up 24C.
With the Whitecap flight 4 miles out and slow moving as a Cherokee, there's sufficient room to get us out behind American 2965. The runway is ours, and it's nice to be seated on the left side of the plane so I can see the runway. Again, this is a viewpoint that I've never had. I'm usually on the other side of the plane looking out for planes on final approach. Now that the first American flight, Flight 1884, is well into the climb, the controller never handed it off to the departure controller. Perhaps the controller was thinking about what happened earlier with the early takeoff clearance, so the pilot came back and asked about the handoff.
Tower American 1844, you want us to switch to departure 128.3?
Yep, American 1844, contact, good night.
1844, switching, thanks, have a good night.
The controller hands them off, then hands off the second American flight, Flight 2965, to departure control.
American 2965, contact departure.
So both flights were handed off to the departure controller around the same time, but the first one probably should have been handed off as soon as it became airborne. I seriously think the controller was thinking how he issued the first flight takeoff clearance and the captain questioned it. Well, for us, we just need to wait for takeoff clearance as Whitecap 321 gets closer and closer to the runway behind us.
Delta 2460, runway 10 left, clear for takeoff.
Over there, 10 left, Delta 2460.
Now that we're rolling, Whitecap 321 gets clearance to land.
Whitecap 321, runway 10 land, caution light turbulence, 737's on the roll.
Roger, clear to land, Whitecap 321 for 10. As we climb, the tower controller hands us off to the departure controller.
Delta 2460, contact departure.
Over departure, Delta 2460.
As we look north up Interstate 95, we check in with departure control. I wasn't able to hear the pilot, but the controller came back telling us that he sees us on radar.
Delta 2460, following departure, radar contact.
This is the first time I get to see the north side of the departure path on the slide's departure procedure. I finally get to see downtown West Palm Beach with its tall buildings. Just past that is the Intracoastal Waterway separating the mainland from the barrier island of Palm Beach itself. This departure procedure calls for the flight to fly straight out for a couple of miles, then turn to the northwest in a left turn. Finally, I get to be on the left side for the left turn. I can't wait to start the left turn here on the slide's departure. What a beautiful view of the city lights of Palm Beach and West Palm Beach as this 737 points its nose toward New York City. We're getting higher and higher to get to our cruising altitude, and the Palm Beach departure controller hands us off to the high altitude controller at Miami Center.
Delta 2460, contact Miami Center, 132.1.
Well, that was a really nice climb on the slide's departure, and I'm glad that I was able to sit on the left-hand side of the airplane. I'm also super, super happy that the left side's going to provide some really good views into LaGuardia today. That's right, the RNAV-XRAY Approach is east of Manhattan heading northeast, and that sets us up for really ideal views of the city. But I'm not just going to wait till then to look out, because things are happening out there right now. That flashing light out there is a Turkish Airlines 777 flying from Istanbul to Miami. And even though it's far away, we can see the bright lights of Orlando way in the distance. The map on the seatback shows exactly where we are now. There goes an American 737-800, the same kind of plane we're on now, flying from RDU to MIA. What a great flight this is, and I'm so happy that there's no one around me. I typically have the back of my head facing passengers anyway, though.
This feels more spacious than first class.
I can't help but smile. The first part of this flight is over water to keep us in a straight line, but the coast comes back around, and there we can see the Myrtle Beach area.
We're about to start the land portion of the flight now.
After this point, it's all flying over the eastern seaboard of the continental USA for the rest of the flight. The lights below were stunning.
I can see the Potomac River, and I know exactly where DCA Airport is because of that.
We're in the Northeast Corridor, and that's our nation's capital down there. This is the first of a series of major Northeast cities that we'll be seeing from the air and eventually landing right in the middle of one.
I can feel it. We're starting on down to LaGuardia now.
The RNAV-XRAY is the approach that will take us straight into Brooklyn and Queens as if we were to land on runway 4, and then while in Queens, we'll turn to the right along the path of the Long Island Expressway, then make a left, low turn around Flushing Meadows Corona Park to runway 31.
It's almost time to honor the New York Mets.
Yes, this approach has waypoints honoring the New York Mets baseball team's former players, and the approach circles Citi Field, home of the New York Mets.
I'm expecting some really good views of Philadelphia very soon.
We're descending via the Proud Arrival procedure over New Jersey, and on the other side of the Delaware River is the state of Pennsylvania, and in it I have my eyes on the Philadelphia International Airport, a hub for American Airlines. Just beyond the Philadelphia International Airport is Philadelphia itself. It's stunning from up here.
You know, it's been a while since I've been on this side of the airplane, but I'm really liking this.
All right, it's time to enter the airspace of the New York TRACOM, the air traffic control facility that will monitor us on the proud arrival to LaGuardia and guide us to the approach. Let's check in.
New York First Delta 2460, 7315, 15,600, Proud 2 with hotel.
Delta 2460, New York, welcome, altimeter 3005.
3005, Delta 2460.
The controller provided the local altimeter setting for LaGuardia, and for now we just follow the procedure northeastbound. The headings on the proud arrival vary between 39 and 60 degrees, which are all northeast, and head toward Brooklyn, which is in front of us. We checked in somewhere between waypoints Edger and Davies. The final waypoint is called Proud, and the subsequent waypoints lead to the final fix of Proud, which is over Borough Park in Brooklyn. However, the controller will clear us well in advance to a fix on the actual approach procedure called Pachu, located over Park Slope in Brooklyn. There's actually hardly anyone in front of us, so here comes the clearance directly to Pachu and the lower altitude.
Delta 2460, the center maintains 7,000, clear to Apache.
7,000, direct Apache, Delta 2460.
Once we get to Pachu, we can fly the RNAV-XRAY runway 31 approach. Once over Pachu, over Park Slope in Brooklyn, we fly a 45-degree heading to Shea, named for the old Shea Stadium, which is over the Bed-Stuy area of Brooklyn. It's between Pachu and Shea, where the Great Manhattan View will appear on the left-hand side of the plane, which is why I am where I am. After Shea, we will still be able to see Manhattan as we turn right to 59 degrees to Gay Car, named for Mets player Gary Carter. Gaycar is located over Bushwick Junction in Queens. At that point, we turn right to 89 degrees, away from Manhattan, but revealing a view of LaGuardia Airport itself on the left side. The 89-degree heading brings us to Darryl, named for Mets player Darryl Strawberry. Then it's a series of left turns, the first of which is to 44 degrees to Keith, named for Mets player Keith Hernandez over Corona, Queens. Then it's a left turn to 359 degrees to Dr. K, named for Mets player Dwight Gooden over Flushing. Let's fast forward ATC to where the approach controller hands us off to the tower controller at LaGuardia Airport itself.
Delta 2460, contact tower 187.
187, Delta 2460.
RNAV-XRAY, here we come.
As I look at the Verrazano Bridge connecting Staten Island with Brooklyn, the pilot is going to check in with LaGuardia Tower for landing clearance.
Delta 2460, 4007.
2460, you're number one now on the approach. Go to land on 31, 01012, open to the park zone, or priority right.
Total land runway 31, Delta 2460.
We're number one for runway 31 and clear to land. The tower indicated that there will be several departures off of runway 4 prior to us landing. That's the only conflict, but otherwise, we can just continue with the approach, come straight into the runway, and then land.
Thank you, sir. 393, runway 4, clear for takeoff, 01013.
Runway 4, clear for takeoff, bearing 3392.
Big Air 6751, line of weight on runway 4.
Up and away, runway 4, break air 6751.
Most of what we'll hear on this frequency are pilots lining up, then taking off on runway 4. We'll also hear the controller talk to VFR traffic in the area, but we won't hear the pilot, as the pilot is transmitting on another frequency. And sorry about the poor condition of the transmissions. The receiver was not picking up very well this particular evening. Here comes that amazing Manhattan view, which is the main reason why I'm seated in a less legroom seat in the back of the 737. This view and upcoming low turns to LaGuardia is so worth a main cabin seat.
Big Air 751, limit 01012, fly the Bronx time, runway 4, clear for takeoff.
By the Bronx line, clear for takeoff to runway 4, break air 6751.
75197, runway 4, landing away.
Pretty soon we'll be starting the right-hand turn over the Long Island Expressway, so let's savor this view of downtown Manhattan.
For 3392, follow contact, departure.
Approach commence, runway 3392.
What a view of the Brooklyn Bridge, and that's downtown Brooklyn in the foreground, and in the distance, on the other side of the Hudson River is New Jersey. Back at the airport, the controller continues to focus on getting departures out.
75197, the wind is 01012, runway 4, clear for takeoff.
Runway 4, clear for takeoff,
Big Air 4494, tower, runway 4, landing away.
Big Air 4494, line up away, runway 4.
As for this stunning view of Midtown, it's limited because of Gaycar. We're now in the vicinity of Shea, and once at Gaycar, we head east, so Manhattan will be behind us, so this moment needs to be savored quickly. If we were to land straight in on runway 4, we'd see Manhattan for longer, nearly all the way to touchdown, but runway 4 is just the departure runway today.
48152, Delta.
Our upcoming turn around LaGuardia lets us land on runway 31 without interfering with airspace for Kennedy Airport. By the way, the colors of the Empire State Building on this evening were meant to celebrate Ola magazine's 80th anniversary. Let's listen into some more tower as we turn to the east.
Big Air 5754, you contact your departure.
Departure of break air 5751.
Brickyard 4494. Was it 360 at 13, got 17. Runway 4, clear for takeoff.
Brickyard 4494, runway 4, clear for takeoff.
To Delta Charlie, said you're near the pump. What's the current altitude where you're in relation to Glencoe? 5197, landing departure.
There, 5197, off departure. Bye.
There goes the airport, and you can actually see a plane climbing off of runway 4, the intersecting runway.
Alright, bring it down to 15 and consequences following.
You'll recall the fixes for Darryl Strawberry, Keith Hernandez, and Dwight Gooden are up ahead, and we'll fly to all three before landing in left-hand turns. Yet another reason to be seated on the left side of the plane for the low-altitude turn around Flushing Meadows, Corona Park. At this point, I typically would look out for planes landing ahead of us, but there were none. The tower frequency was actually pretty quiet at this point. There weren't many more departures, and as you know, there's no one in front of us, so let's continue in a sublime low-altitude left-hand turn to runway 31. Well, it's over, and it was a great flight. It's been a while since I've been on a plane that flew this approach, so I'm grateful for it. I made the conscious decision to downgrade from what many would consider to be a better seat to one in the back just for the views that you just saw. Many passengers on this flight may go home to their loved ones and talk about their fine first-class meal or the extra legroom that they had in Comfort Plus, but tonight, for me, well, I
Just couldn't be happier back here. Can't stop smiling. All right, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, I invite you to subscribe, and I'll be back again on a flight real soon. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.